The NEC in the future is going to have to adapt a little bit to change, ever-changing environment, industry, people. I think we're very flexible. We see that on the horizon and make adjustments. Leadership changes every year, so we have to constantly be ahead of the forefront and be the leader, and I think we're ready for that.
Well, I hope for the NEC to continue to be the learning chapter. I mean, that is our hallmark, and that's the best we can give back for airport executives.
I hope that from personally, as one of those folks in the executive levels of NEC, I'm hoping to bridge the gap between old and past and present. For me, I've seen both. My first conference was in 1985 in Hartford, Connecticut. We were able to see that come to a level of where individuals that are no longer with us, but I'm hoping that to be able to bridge that gap between the old and the new as I come forward.
That it will continue to be alert to the times and the needs of airport people, airport staff, airport professionals, that it'll be in touch with the community and the direction of our country, and to try to bring out the best in the industry and in the individuals that are members of our chapter.
We need leaders. We need folks from the Northeast chapter to step up and take over for us old men and women who are now stepping down. We need new, fresh blood. We need leaders. We need innovation. And they need to experience what we've had the opportunity to experience.
We can continue to find the leadership we need to continue to make the organization continue to grow and prosper. As things get challenging with a new generation of people, are they going to have the dedication and the desire and the passion to continue to move the organization forward and in the right direction?
I hope that the Northeast chapter continues to recognize that the youth is going to be our future leaders, and how our seasoned leaders can help to shape and mold our future leaders by bringing them along to our professional networking, to our conferences, and to continue to educate them so that we have a strong future in leadership within the aviation industry.
Again, it's the bringing along young leaders, young people who are new to the industry, getting them involved at the chapter level, and then hopefully ultimately the national association. So many of us have done that as well.
Yeah, I hope that the NEC just continues to innovate. Again, we've done so much over the past 50 years, leading the industry as the industry has evolved, keeping up with those. I just hope that the chapter continues to do that well into the future.
It's, they're a model for all the chapters as far as education. It was the first chapter ever created. The more exposure that we get with student chapters, it's going to make our chapter better. The more young professionals we get involved and to bring the young minds into the organization is really going to advance what we do.
Right now, the aviation industry is in a real period of transition. The airlines are changing the way they operate. There's all different kinds of new technology in aircraft, and all of those changes are going to impact the types of facilities that airports need to provide. So I think it's really important going forward that the Northeast chapter continues to provide that stable resource to help all of us be successful and deal with all of these changes that are coming in the industry. And I think we're set up to do that.
In the future, I look forward to seeing the development of leadership within the chapter. The chapter has had a great history of sending chapter leadership onward to AAAE leadership, and I think certainly that will continue, and I expect it to.
I think they are on a good path. I went to the meeting this morning. I don't have much to contribute because I'm not involved in the chapter very much, other than through the past president's meetings. But I heard a lot of discussion about young professionals, and it's a real challenge to get quality people into our profession. Young people are different than they were when I grew up, and trying to figure out the mix of what these young professionals want and what the profession has to offer, and putting that together. There's been a real focus on that, and I'm excited about the prospects for success for, building the industry forward.
Oh, continued growth. It's there's a lot of exciting things going on. I mean, with education, trying to help young professionals, working on their scholarships programs, and just working with the next generation. There's a lot of good things down the pike for the NEC and the aviation and airport industry in general.
Well, for the future of the NEC, I hope that they continue on their quest for leadership development. I believe that they should continue to look for sparks everywhere and bring the gasoline to develop our leaders that truly want to lead but may not know how to get themselves into a position of leadership. And I think we really need to uncover our future leaders, whether they be big airports, small airports, young, old, male, female, whatever representation. I think that we continue on our quest to find and develop good leaders.
I hope that it will continue to be solid and have people engaged. You'll notice in our meetings that the people that have been there for quite a while are fully engaged. They know the operation of the chapter as well as the national, and we continue to feed the national a number of tremendous leaders.
I think the NEC needs and does a great job at it, staying ahead of issues. So the chapter has always been a solution provider for the industry. When COVID hit, we were the first ones to jump into these summits in Zoom meetings. Today, safety, the lack of human resources, there's always going to be a new issue coming through, and the chapter just stays ahead of that and would stay ahead of it, and then provides a solution to the airports and stays relevant, basically. So what's next is more of the same, but it's going to have a different flavor. Well, I hope they never forget the past, but don't live by it, right? That it's good to know there's some examples there, but everything needs to move forward. I think my hope is additional conferences. I think new topics, more scholarships for the students coming up, more support for the airports so they can attend. I think as the chapter grows, it gains more revenue. That revenue is turned back into the membership so that more people in this industry, in this chapter's region, gets to experience what I got to experience.
The chapter should continue with its efforts in education. A specific example is the Airports Conference, where continuing education credits are given for all the engineers requiring. It's a great foundation to keep things going in that direction. And we have other efforts, where the Snow Academy, that work that Carl has talked about, the Snow Academies being adopted by the Department of Defense and the Air Force. That is their curriculum now. We did that, Carl. That's the kind of stuff we should continue to do. The future is what they want to make it. They have a rich past, but don't be constrained on it. Think outside the box. One of the things I would hope they would do would be repeat our 50th anniversary book. I have a copy. You've all seen it. But that book, we should do it again at some point. At the right year, 65 years, maybe 70. I don't know if I'll be around. But that kind of thing, you keep on your shelf, you look back, and it brings it all back in clarity, what we've done, what we've accomplished. So we've done a lot, but there's a lot more to do.
Okay, I'm going to tell a story, all right? When I was in the chapter chairs, I probably was even president at a particular snow symposium, and I brought with me two women who were actual plow operators. Well, they did some other things because at Morristown Airport, a lot of people did a lot of different things. They wore a lot of different hats. But everybody got to drive the trucks. And so I thought it was important for them to attend. That was not clearly enjoyable experience for them, or as they related it to me, for me. They were very unhappy about how they were treated there. I was lucky enough to have in the executive committee at the time 2 other women, and eventually a total of 3 women in the chapter executive committee. And that was the turning point, I think, for a more inclusive attitude toward women in airport management as a whole. Because at that point, things really changed. And you know, lately, there's just been an expansion of inclusiveness to include women in airport management. But you know, back in the 90s, when you know, it was a different century, and the Snow Symposium was pretty much the last bastion of testosterone. So I think we've made great strides, and certainly Melinda Montgomery and her young professional group will continue, I think, to do that. I am hopeful that the chapter continues sponsoring scholarships, grants, and other opportunities for young people to get involved with airport management. And Morristown Airport for a long time has tried to bring in young people to introduce them to airport management. Some of them were interested in aviation, but they weren't sure what they wanted to do. And we've had people who started here who have gone on to bigger and better things. We've also had people who started here and, you know, didn't remain in airports or airport management, but perhaps they went to become a consultant or a planner, or you know, any number of things. Aviation lawyer, we've even had one of those. So I hope that continues.
I think what's next for the NEC is more firsts, you know, continued development in education opportunities. I think we've got a very robust leadership committee right now that's looking at how we can add more value to our membership and to those people out in the industry that are looking for education opportunities, leadership opportunities. One of the things that we're doing this year, which is the first time ever, is we're hosting a leadership symposium where we've brought young professionals in to receive leadership training that they can then bring back to their own organizations and hopefully start to develop the next generation after them of leaders and get them involved in the Northeast chapter. I hope for continued growth of the membership for the NEC in the future. I hope for continued engagement, development of our conferences, the ability to expand our offerings so that we can continue to offer scholarships and grants and opportunities like that to the next generation. So that continued growth is what's going to help support the organization and really allow us to give back to that next generation of leaders. The idea for this video came from the past presidents of the Northeast chapter. I'd like to thank them for their support, encouragement, and participation in this video, and I hope they like the final product.